Carl and Brendan here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's track by track time as we are taking a look at Into the Pandemonium by Celtic Frost, a legendary band. The second studio album by the Swiss extreme metal band, released in 1987. Famously, this album is vastly different from the band's previous work, took people quite by surprise, and is considered a landmark album in a lot of people's eyes. Others are like, it's so fucking weird. I'm not familiar enough with Celtic Frost to be able to judge that, but having listened to this album all the way through for this track by track, it is a fucking weird album.
Yeah, 100%. That is the best way possible to describe this album. Just fucking weird. I'm not a massive fan of them either, Celtic Frost, so this was a bit of a surprise to me. Yeah, I don't know what I expected. I didn't expect this, though.
I agree, considering the name, and I'm more aware of Tom G. Warrior's work in Triptychon than Celtic Frost. But we'll dive into it now, and we begin with Mexican Radio, a Wall of Voodoo cover. And I was kind of like, all right, starting an album off with a cover, that's unusual and a little bit brave. And I guess we shouldn't be that surprised considering it's Celtic Frost. I don't know the original, so I've got no comparisons to make. But I do kind of like this track. Tom G. Warrior could sing pretty much anything, make it sound immense. And I think the band sound like they're kind of having some fun here.
Yeah, I get that. I didn't know it's covered, to be honest with you. I didn't do enough research, obviously, there. I struggled a little bit with the lead vocals at points in this because it just kind of had that weird kind of that Dave Mustaine and Sweating Bullets sort of thing. I don't know what he's trying to do with his voice.
Fair enough.
I actually preferred the kind of backing vocalist in the chorus. I thought it was a better singer. Drums are good though, nice groove to the riff, it's quite catchy. And I found myself a bit lost in a kind of this is shit, but I love it kind of vibe with the song by the end of it. So yeah, it wasn't bad.
No, off to a decent start then. Mesmerized. I love the riffs, the eclectic tempo shifts, the haunting vocal style of this one, I really, really enjoy. It's very listenable. And this is one where it had me going back and re-listening to it immediately after it ended. I was like, I want to give this one another go.
Yes, similar-ish, I guess. I liked a lot of it. I liked the intro riff. I thought the drums were really, really good. Lots of tempo changes in it. I felt made me feel a bit queasy every now and then. And I still didn't completely love the vocals, but I didn't like madly dislike them either. They're just not like the highlight of the song for me. I think overall, great guitar work, great drums. You know, it was a good song. I enjoyed it.
Can't say any better than that. And if you haven't had enough variety, we now hit Inner Sanctum. And this has got a thrashy edge. It's more focused on delivering an outright heavy effort. They're good at it, so it sounds great. The guitars are meaty as fuck. And it's got a really ear-splitting guitar solo. I like this one.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, this one was probably my favourite so far. Like the tempo, like the beat. Found myself kind of tapping and nodding along to this one quite quickly. The drums are great again. The vocals, I've kind of grown to accept them. You know, I'm never going to love the voice, but I'm not like overly bothered by it anymore either. Yeah, just really, really enjoyed it. Screechy solo was awesome.
Yeah.
Good song.
Yeah,
Good song.
Yeah, it's simple as that. It's a good song. And I'll admit my thought process at this stage was like, okay, well, this is where we now continue on a heavy path. And it was like, no, that is not where we're going.
I know, this where shit gets weird.
Yeah, it really does. Tristezas de la Lune. And I just wrote, what the actual fuck? Symphonic with female vocals only. Lyrics borrowed from the poem of the same name in Charles Baudelaire's Les Fleurs du Mal. I am so fucking confused. It has a ton of impact because I paid so much attention to it, just thinking, what the fuck is this? I cannot actually say whether I liked it, though. I just don't know how I feel about this. It's so fucking random.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I listened to it all the way through, thought, what the fuck is going on? Read up on it, read what it was, and then just was even more confused because it's kind of like tabled as Celtic Frost do a version of, Baudelaire or part of Baudelaire's poem. But then because of that, you kind of go, oh, so they're going to rock it up. Like if you read that, you go, oh, they're going to rock up a classic. But they don't. They just kind of leave it as like a classical poem, just randomly in the middle of their album. I was very confused by it. I don't understand why it's there at all.
Yeah,
Not that it's bad. I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, there's just no understanding this one. I mean, that's unique. Whether it's good or not is a totally different thing. Babylon Fell, Jade, Serpent. Straight into this one and those meaty guitars again. This is a track that feels so much more extreme, and the riffs are like stakes being hammered into flesh. Seriously kick-ass. And there's a weird-ass guitar solo that briefly appears that I do find I was like, oh, I really like that.
Yeah, I like the solo too. It's got like these really, really long descending notes that just go on for ages. It's pretty cool. But yeah, like it was a good song. I think part of me was still probably in shock from the song before when I went back to this, because like now I'm like, well, fuck knows what we're going to get now. And this is kind of much more standard, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Good riffs, good drums, solos, bit wacky but cool. Enjoyed the song. But by this point now, because of what's happened, every song that comes on from this point on, I'm on edge going into it, thinking like, up until that point, I was okay, but now I'm like, what could it be?
Oh, I'll be fascinated to see what you think of this one then, because Caress Under Oblivion, Jade Serpent 2. It's the chanting at the start that sets up a doomier introduction. It's dark, it's impactful. The speed metal then bursts from nowhere. It's unexpected, and you kind of have to hold on tight to keep up. It's a very much a track that keeps you guessing. And for me, I like the doomier parts more than anything else in this track.
Yeah, I like the song too, but I like the faster parts more. Oh, probably not too surprising. But I like the fact that it keeps you guessing. I like the way it switches. I think it's an interesting song. It's got like some good ideas, and they kind of pull it off well. The vocals are fine, the solos are good, the drums, everything's quite good. Even the doomy sections, I don't mind them. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good song with great moments. But the difference between me and you, I think, is that my great moments are when a bit of pace comes, whereas your great ones are when it kind of fades away and gets back to the slower doom.
Exactly that. But forget all of that. It's time now just to go, I don't know what, off the fucking cliff with the weirdest shit. We begin with One in Their Pride, Porthole mix, which had me so confused because I was like, well, okay, presumably this is a track that existed on the first album. And as far as I could see, it doesn't. I was like, fine, all right. Why is it Porthole mix? I'll go along with it, fine. And in part, it sounds like it should be on like an 80s action movie soundtrack, but then it just gets so fucking weird. I don't know how to describe it. Avant-garde, industrial, sci-fi, nonsense? I just don't know.
Shit. Yeah. Just go with shit.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, aside from keeping you on your toes, there's no other positive that I have for this. I think it sounds absolutely terrible. I really do. I don't have anything nice to say about it. I assume Porthole to be some sort of washed up DJ, who's been rolled out. And I wrote down that I bet he must have had one of those kid keyboards where you can play like a pre-programmed thing, and it's got the 4 drum buttons at the top, and that's what he did the whole thing on.
Oh man! Oh man! Oh man!
I don't like it.
Oh, this is going to be very interesting because then we get I Won't Dance, The Elders Orient. And you go from that to what starts with a very traditional sounding metal track. And I was like, okay, fine, no worries. And then they just apparently invited a BG in to start singing in the background. And it starts turning into a fucking disco track. And I'm like, this is insane. But weirdly, I actually really like this track. I just find it so stupid that I'm like, you know what, I kind of love this.
Yeah, I really like this track as well, actually. You know, I find so much I was laughing through, and I was like, this band are just so fucking weird. What the hell? Um, you know, but I liked it. You know, it was really, really odd all the way through, but in like quite an exciting way. As in, like, this is interesting. It's adventurous. It's different. I don't think I would ever like like, it wouldn't be the sort of song I'd listen to that would make me go, oh my god, I really need to check out more by Celtic Frost. But you know, on your way through an album, especially with some of the stuff before it, like the Porthole mix and all that, you know, I was like, okay, this is experimentation kind of gone right. You know, you got this one right.
Yeah, I think so. It's good that we both actually like that. Sorrows of the Moon. The cold melody and pain vocals echo through my skull. This one has some real impact for me. The strength in the guitar riffs and the way the vocals almost moan like a fucking spirit or like the wind and stuff like that. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't mind it. I didn't really like it. You know, it's basically just the English version of the previous song, just translated. Tristesse de la Lune.
Yeah.
I found his vocals creepy. I did write like, what is with his voice, man? Like, just I sort that out a little bit. Obviously, it's got stuff you're gonna like because it's a rocked up version of the song. You know, it has got all the drums and the guitars and the riffs and the tempo that you're gonna want to like. So I kind of like that, even if I find it quite odd that the same song appears on the album twice, but just in two different versions of it.
It is unusual, as you say, but what do you expect at this? By this point, I think expected, because it's not like Rex Arai Requiem is going to change that. This is epic, man. The prominence of the symphonic elements. It still sounds suitably metal, though. The female singer is immense. The booming percussion in this does it for me, man. It's weird, but I fucking adore this. And the horns, good God, they use horns in this track.
Yeah, I didn't quite like this one as much as the whatever the other weird one was, whatever that's called. I Won't Dance. You know, it's very odd again. You know, and little bits for me during parts of the song. Parts of me are like simultaneously going like, "What's the fuss going on?" while also enjoying it. I like the violins. I like the operatic vocals. I like the transitions here and there. But there's just some serious weirdness on display, man, just constantly. And I'm not quite sure I get it. While it's interesting, I'm not sure I understand what the fucking point of it all is. You know, and I did write, it's the sort of thing that I would probably play to somebody who's maybe like trying to get into metal just to see the confused look on their face. You know, just be like, oh, check this out. And then to be, what the fuck is happening?
I think you'd apply that to a lot of the tracks in this album. Oriental Masquerade. It's a short, bombastic effort that highlights the brass section again. It's epic for being quite short. It made me smile.
Yeah, I agreed. Nice little epic interlude. Horn sounds great, drums sound great, violin sound great. Nice, I like it.
Which brings us to the end, and I'll imagine you weren't particularly happy when you saw One in Their Pride again, but this time re-entry mix.
I mean, at first I was okay with it because I assumed that maybe because Porthole had fucked up his one so much, they gave someone else a crack. That's why it was the re-entry. You know.
Well, for me, I didn't know what I was expecting, particularly as the other one was so fucking strange. This one has a retro vibe. I kind of envision a gritty and dirty city with gangs doing battle and like a president needs rescue and escape from LA kind of style. It's weird. I think it's slightly better than the other, but truth be told, I don't really care no matter what. I just don't care for either of these.
No, it's terrible. Terrible way to close out the album. I don't care for the 80s beat at all. It's repetitive, it's boring, and it's a total disappointment, though. I did write that maybe that was the concept they were going for in this album, just general disappointment. So, Oz.
Amazing. All right, well, let's find 3 tracks then that you would call the best.
So for me, I Won't Dance, The Elders Orient, Caress Into Oblivion, Jade, Serpent 2, and Inner Sanctum.
For me, it's Mesmerized, Crescent Oblivion, Jade, Serpent 2, and Rex Arai Requiem. They're my 3. It's a challenging album. If you've never heard Celtic Frost before, this was probably for us as well, who don't really know them well. I don't know why I chose this one, because this is supposed to be quite one of the most famous albums. So my expectation was this is what put them on the map. I feel like I may have got this wrong and should have just started with the debut, and then we could see what they became rather than this, you know?
Probably famous for the wrong reasons, this one, I think.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. But, you know, if you love it and you've got different thoughts to us, let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal, what else is life for?